The Union of Sovereign States was the proposed name of a reorganization of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics into a new confederal entity, proposed by President of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev. The proposal was an attempt to avert the collapse of the Soviet Union. The proposal was never implemented in the wake of the August Coup and the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The overall proposal was resurrected as the Commonwealth of Independent States, although as a regional organization, not a confederation. Development. The new Union Treaty was a draft treaty that would have replaced the 1922 Treaty on the creation of the USSR and thus would have replaced the Soviet Union with a new entity named the Union of Sovereign States, an attempt of Mikhail Gorbachev to salvage and reform the Soviet state. A ceremony of the Russian СССР signing the treaty was scheduled for the 20th of August 1991, but was prevented by the August Coup a day earlier. The preparation of this treaty was known as the Novo-Ogarevo process, named after Novo-Ogarevo, a governmental estate where the work on the document was carried out and where Gorbachev talked with leaders of Union republics. A less centralized federal system was proposed by President Gorbachev during the Communist Party Congress of July 1990. A draft of the new Union Treaty was submitted to the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union on November 23, 1990. A drafting committee started work on the text on January 1, 1991. 6 of the 15 Soviet republics, however, did not participate in drafting of the treaty: Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldavia, Georgia and Armenia. The proposal was approved by the Soviet of the Union on March 6 and sent to the Supreme Soviets of the republics for approval. Agreement could not be reached on the distribution of power between the Union and the republics and the proposal was not approved. As an additional restrictive element, some autonomous republics expressed the desire to raise the status and to be a party to the new Soviet treaty. President Gorbachev tried to gain popular support for the proposal. On March 17, 1991, a popular referendum was held in the 9 republics which participated in the drafting of the treaty. In the referendum, 76% of voters supported maintaining the federal system of the Soviet Union, including a majority in all of the 9 republics. Opposition was greatest in large cities like St. Petersburg and Moscow. The referendum was mostly boycotted in the other 6 republics as they were already moving towards independence. An agreement between the Soviet central government and the 9 republics, the so-called 9+1 agreement, was finally signed in Novo-Ogarevo on April 23. The new Union Treaty would have converted the Soviet Union into a federation of independent republics with a common president, foreign policy, and military. By August, 8 of the 9 republics, except Ukraine, approved the draft of the new treaty with some conditions. Ukraine did not agree on the terms of the treaty. In the Republican referendum on March 17, the majority of residents of Ukraine supported joining the Union on the terms of Declaration of State Sovereignty of Ukraine. Though the treaty was intended to save the Union, hardliners feared that it would encourage some of the smaller republics to follow the lead of Lithuania and press for full independence. In August 18, the hardliners took control of the government after confining Gorbachev in his Crimean dacha in order to stop him from returning to Moscow to sign the treaty. The August Coup collapsed in the face of overwhelming popular opposition not only from the smaller republics but from larger ones, especially the Russian СССР, because the treaty was ultimately never signed at all, even in the aftermath of the secession of the Ukraine in December. The leaders of republics organized the Commonwealth of Independent States, an alliance of 12 newly independent states. Names on the first draft of the treaty released in July 1991. The proclaimed name for the new nation was the Union of Soviet Sovereign Republics. This name was proposed in order to conserve the Russian acronym, as well as the USSR and Soviet Union in English. By November 1991, the overall support for preserving the Soviet state changed to reform the Soviet Union into a confederation of sovereign states. The final draft renamed the proposed state the Union of Sovereign States. The overall continuation of the Soviet Union continued to drop and was soon abandoned. Following the August Coup, the new Union Treaty was further reformed into the Commonwealth of Independent States. Projected member republics: Russian SFSR, Ukraine, Belarus, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzia. Republics that rejected the treaty: Georgia, Armenia, Moldavia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania,